And good afternoon. Today we are going to be talking about how we are a host for a lot of different microbes. Some of them, as I have found out when I was researching this, are not all that microscopic. So they can actually be seen with the naked eye, which kind of gives me the creeps. I'm not going to lie about that. We know holistically, and the medical field knows as well, that we have quite a few bacteria, quite a few viruses, quite a few parasites inside our system. Now, we don't want parasites. Nobody wants parasites. However, fungus, candida, we all heard about that. That is a parasite. It is a living form that has to have a host in order to survive. I think viruses are parasites, and of course, they also need a host in order to survive. And so one of the things that we've been conditioned to since we were born is wash your hands, make sure it's clean, wash your hands going out of the bathroom, wash your hands before you eat dinner and all that kind of stuff, which is very, very good. We still want you to do that. But over the past 2 years, we've been very, very overly concerned with keeping things clean. And there's been a great overuse of antibacterial lotions, antibacterial soaps, antibacterial sprays. And what that does is it removes, or it can remove, the bacteria that's on our skin that actually keeps us healthy. And so what we want to do today is differentiate between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So when we are born, if we have a vaginal birth, we come into this world through the birth canal, not a C-section, through the birth canal, we get our first inoculation of probiotics from the birth canal. We should, if we're healthy, we should have 80% good bacteria in the gut and 20% bad bacteria. Anytime that we have had any antibiotics, it takes that 80-20 and shifts it, okay? When we have antibiotics, it takes the good bacteria and pushes it to nothing, but it also takes the bad bacteria and pushes it to nothing. That's what we want with the bad bacteria. What we don't always do is take the good bacteria internally, orally, so that we replenish the good bacteria. I remember where my hands are, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So just like in your garden in the winter, everything is dead, everything looks nasty. You clean up everything and you plant the good stuff. You walk away, it looks beautiful, but you come back 2 or 3 weeks later, and what's happened? All of the weeds have just grown, because weeds just grow wherever they go. Well, that's the same thing with the gut. You've got the weeds are going to grow automatically all by themselves. The good guys, not so much. So when we get out of balance, then we have all kind of issues. We can have eczema, we can have psoriasis, we can have diarrhea, we can have constipation, we can have gas and bloating, we can have all those kind of things which we do not want. So in this article, it says we have trillions of bacteria and other microscopic organisms living on our skin, in our guts, and elsewhere in the body. I said 700 in the title, but it's actually trillions, because that 700 number was just all that's in the mouth, right? Didn't even talk about what's in the gut, what's in the small intestine, what's in the rest of your body. So it's really, really like amazing that we've got all these critters here. Collectively, scientists refer to this as the human microbiome. Some scientists are leaving off the micro because some of these critters can be seen. Now, it just kind of creeps me out, because when I think of critters, what do I think of? I think of lice, right? We've all had the experience where our kid comes home from school and they've got lice at school. So we think of that as a critter. We don't want that. I don't want that for sure. Used to be thought of that lice lived in dirty hair, but now we know that lice likes nice, shiny, clean hair. Still, we don't want that. But that's a critter that we can see. If any of you have ever combed your children's hair, you will have seen that. Most people don't know a whole lot. Even scientists are just now studying the microbiome to see kind of what's in there. When people come in and test with me, we do a lot of bioenergetic frequencies, and we try to find out what is causing the person the problem. And sometimes the person will test for a viral load. Everybody has Epstein-Barr virus in their body. 95% of adults in the North American continent. So we're going to just say everybody. Everybody has staph. Everybody has strep. When you get the sickness and disease, a staph infection or strep throat, that's because the good guys that are keeping the strep under control, they've been wiped out, they've been overcome, and so the bad guys are having ascendancy, and that's where the problem is. But we all have these bacteria, we all have these parasites, we all have these viruses, and this article says that these are really some good things for us, so we need to kind of look at that. Bacteria on the skin live in a complex balance, okay, with other bacteria, fungi, and other viruses. I don't even want to think about that, right? When the condition in the skin changes, the balance can be thrown off. Overgrowth of some bacteria while discouraging others that keep them in check. When everything is in balance, then there is harmony. When things are not in balance, that's when we get the problem, okay? So the bacteria in our bodies help us survive and thrive. So you have to understand that if we did not have these good bacteria, we'd be in real trouble. The very human existence depends on these species that are so unlike ourselves that we can barely recognize them as being alive. All right. It says that there are 700 different species of bacteria in the mouth, on the teeth, in the tongue, and inside your cheek. We know that tooth decay is bad bacteria, and so we do a lot with mouthwash and different things to kill all the bacteria, and we may actually be killing some of the good bacteria. So that's just something that we want to think about and see kind of where we are with that. We haven't done a whole lot of studies on the bacteria in the mouth, but there was a study done in 2021 in Australia. It was published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, and it said that the bacteria in your mouth determines if you like the taste of broccoli and cauliflower and other sulfurified foods. So this is if you have picky eaters, if you have people that say, I don't like broccoli, I don't like cauliflower, I don't like Brussels sprouts, I don't like cabbage, it's because the gut biome, the bacteria in the body is not what it should be. Because if you have the right bacteria, you're going to like those foods. So this is a hint on our kids, right? And here in the United States, we do a lot of antibiotics, which I think we overdo it. Not only do we overdo ingesting antibiotics, but we also have antibiotics. If we don't buy organic foods, we're going to have antibiotics and xenoestrogens in our dairy products and in our meat and chicken. So we need to understand that we may not be taking antibiotics as a medication, but if we're not watching the kind of food that we're consuming, we're taking that in our digestion. Now, when we go out to eat, and we all do it to a greater or lesser extent, we're getting foods that probably are not organic unless we're eating at the very top dollar restaurants, and probably nobody eats that way all the time, certainly not people in my circle. And so when you're getting those foods, you're probably getting less than optimal as far as grass-fed or free range or all those other kind of things. So if you've got a picky eater, then what you might want to do is work on the gut microbiome and see if that kind of figures that out. There was another research that was connected that said how we smell and taste wine and other fermented beverages has to do with the bacteria in our mouth. So I think that's just really, really interesting that if we don't have the right mix in our mouth, we're not going to like foods that are good for us, like the broccoli and the cauliflower and all that kind of thing. So this doctor says that our body is basically a condominium for other life forms. It's like, oh gosh, that's just crazy. And he says the longevity of a person has to do with our relationship to the bugs in our gut. It says our health depends on the bugs and their health also depends on us as well. So microbes in the gut help us digest our food, protects our stomachs and our intestines from leaking unwanted substances into the bloodstream that play a key role in passive leaking gut, autoimmune disorder, food allergies, and that kind of thing. So they want to have a wide variety of diversity of bacteria in the gut. Dr. Stephen Gundry, he is convinced that one of the most important factors in living a long, healthy life is feeding our gut microbiomes the food that help them survive and thrive. So I agree with that. We just got this product. This is called New Biome. It had a pre-launch in October, and then it's out. We can all get it now in May. And this, according to the literature, is like putting Miracle Grow in your gut to grow the good bacteria. It's got your prebiotics and your postbiotics, which is a brand new field of study. And what it does is it supports your intestinal flora in a way that just probiotics and prebiotics do not. So you may know this, you may not know this, but if you are not having your probiotics in the spore form, they are not surviving digestion and they're not getting planted in the large intestine where they need to be. And so this particular product, the postbiotics, they're already dead. Okay, you can look this up, you can research this. But what it does is it goes in and it provides fertilizer, for lack of a better word, for the good bacteria that you have. And it's like Miracle Grow. It just causes it to grow and grow and grow and grow and to diversify, which is what we need. So if this is something that appeals to you, let us know. We've got it here in the clinic, but we can also give you a link so that you can just, get that and take care of yourself. When we have the right gut microbiota in there, we have a protection against what? Cancer, and we have a protection against Alzheimer's disease. Nobody wants those two things. Nobody wants to have their brain get all hijacked, and nobody wants to have cancer in their cells. And so these doctors are finding that when we've got the good gut bacteria, then we are protected from cancer and we are protected from Alzheimer's. These pro-inflammatory gut microbes, okay, which is what we don't want, they're the bad guys, they have been linked to brain disorders and depression, okay? So there are researchers from the California Institute of, get my paper right, Behavioral Neurosciences and Psychology argue that the microbes even affect the way we think. So if we're not thinking right, if we have people in our lives that aren't thinking right, it could be because they've got the wrong gut bacteria and we're not able to function at our highest level because we don't have the right microbiome in the gut. Stress is going to kill your microbiome. Chlorine is going to kill your microbiome. Soda, caffeine, all those kind of things kill your microbiome. Now, I do reverse osmosis water here in the clinic. At home, I have a filter on my refrigerator and that kind of thing that gets all the bad guys out. However, I don't necessarily have a filter when I'm bathing, when I'm showering, when I go to the pool, all those kind of things. And guess what? All of those water sources have chlorine and fluoride in there. Chlorine is going to kill all of the good bacteria. So unless you've got a whole house filter, then you're going to have to be constantly replenishing the good gut microbiome so that you can be healthy. All right. The common misperception is that germs are a bad thing and we need to avoid them to keep clean. Dr. Andy Kumitz, a retired family physician in Ashland, Oregon, says that's just not the case. Most of the bacteria is beneficial in the gut. If you don't have the right bacteria in your gut, it will have an effect on your metabolism and your risk of disease. So what happens when we have bad metabolism? We're heavy, okay? Obesity is huge. No pun intended. 1 in 3 Americans is obese. That's horrible. 2 in 3 are overweight. So we have a real weight problem here in the United States. And that could be because we eat a lot of processed food, we eat the standard American diet, we're killing all of our good microbiome, the good gut buddies, okay? And so when we do that, we're not able to metabolize our food the way we need to, and then we have all kinds of problems. Dr. Bethany Hendrick agrees. She says in 2019, a team of scientists, which was led by her and an adjunct professor at the University of Nebraska, found that infants who had Bifidobacterium longum in their intestines had fewer markers for intestinal inflammation than infants who did not. All right, our guts are the biggest window into the environment, she says. The newest research, including mine, is showing that the bacteria produce metabolites that impact how the immune system is developed. So if we don't have an immune system, what happens? We're going to get sick and we're going to die. This is the problem with chemotherapy, because chemotherapy not only kills the cancer, which is a good thing, but it also kills the immune system, which is a bad thing. You cannot function with no immune system. We have to have an immune system in order to function in this planet. And so we know, and we're looking at this research, that if we don't have the right gut bacteria, we're not going to be able to function at our highest self, our highest level. She says the bacteria provides a critical function to how the immune system is programmed. She said, my guess is that the benefits from the interaction between human breast milk and the microbiome go far beyond the immune system, probably affecting cognition and metabolism as well. All right, so that's really important. All of us are under stress, especially where we live right now. The whole world is in a stress situation. I will tell you that it was announced by one of our major hospitals in our area that COVID is no longer a thing. That's what she said. And this is a hospital administrator. So whether you're going to believe that or not believe that, I don't know. But this was said at a public meeting. She said hospitalizations are down. People know how to cope with this. It's no longer a thing. And so we say, great. However, right, we're still stressed. People are still stressed. When you are stressed, you kill your good belly bugs. So if that is you, you definitely want to get something like this. It's a liquid. You put it in 8 ounces of water. It tastes watermelon-y, raspberry-ish. It doesn't taste bad at all. And it will totally keep your gut in good working order, which is what you want. I want to switch tactics now to the parasites. Oh, you want to say that word? Face mites. I know, and you probably know, that the fan right now for women is to have these eyelash extensions. There are people that do, the real fluttery eyelash extensions. They're beautiful, that kind of thing, but they do engender face mites, eyelash mites. I don't do it for that reason. However, I used to be vain, lazy. I don't know. I used to not take my makeup off before I went to bed. I didn't want my husband to wake up with, somebody that didn't look like what I look like right now. So I didn't do that. I developed a condition called dry eye. When I did the research into that, you've got little oil sacs behind your eyelids. And when you sleep in your mascara and you don't rub that off, then those little oil sacs get compacted. You're not able to moisturize your eye the way you're supposed to. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. Since I read that, I started taking my makeup off at night, and I rub my eyelashes and that kind of thing. So I do that because I don't want to have eyelash mites, right? Okay, good. However, I found out that you've got facial mites as well. We know there's skin mites. We know that's why we change our sheets regularly, because we have mites. We know that. Not all of us, hopefully not all of us, but some of us have gone to the store, picked up clothing, brought the clothing home, maybe not washed it before we put it on, and other people's microbiomes have gotten onto us, and scabies is one of those things, but skin mites also, and we're itchy and we've got bites and that kind of thing, which we do not want to do that. So back to the facial mites. There are microscopic creatures that live in our hair follicles, our eyelashes, and our eyebrows. We may pluck unwanted hairs, but for the face mites, Demodex follicularum, I don't know if I said that right, but that's what it looks like. Okay, each hair is like a tree in a forest for them. Okay, the scientist at the California Academy of Sciences explains, you aren't even the only animal using your face. I thought I was. I'm just saying. There are at least 2 species of microscopic mites living in your pores. And a 2014 experiment published in a peer-reviewed journal, in a peer-reviewed journal, PLOS1, I don't even know what it stands for. Every adult sampled had mites in his or her face. Every single one. Let me just tell you, I have been using this since October. This is a LumiSpa. I don't know if you've seen this, but you can see it's got oscillating head, right? I use this every day on my face, and it exfoliates. And I'm just hoping, please God, that it's pulling all those mites off my face. I'm just hoping that that's right. So you need to have, you need a LumiSpa, okay? You just need that because it takes all your makeup off. It cleans your pores as it exfoliates. And I'm just hoping it cleans out those mites as well. These creatures, Bridget, you're going to love this. These creatures have 8 legs and are related to the arachnids. Now, if you know your Latin, an arachnid is a spider. That makes me just creep out, okay? They're related, they're the same class as spiders, ticks, and scorpions. Now, when I was reading this the other day, you know how all of a sudden you'll be doing whatever you're doing and then you'll just kind of scratch and something's on me and you just kind of scratch. I'm wondering if we're feeling those little microscopic critters. It just kind of freaked me out, okay? So there's a YouTube video that shows these, and it follows someone all around the day with this microscope, and it shows that they live inside our hair follicles, feasting on the sebum, the oily substance that coats and protects our skin. At night, they crawl out to mate with other mites. So I'm just saying, we got to take care of ourselves, okay? I'm okay with the gut bugs in the belly. I'm okay with that. I am not okay with little scorpion creatures on my face. I'm just going to throw that out there. Scientists don't really understand why it's beneficial to humans to have mites on our faces. One theory, according to healthline.com, is that they are part of a natural cleaning system, helping us to remove dead cells from our skin. LumiSpa. Ignorance is bliss. Yes, I know, darling. LumiSpa. Get it all off. You're going to get your dead skin off. You're going to get your makeup off. You're going to get your mites off, okay? Another theory that was proposed in 2007 is that the mites actually defend our skin against pathogenic bacteria, particularly staph and strep. Okay, and remember I told you a while ago that staph and strep, everybody has that to a greater or lesser degree. Other research, however, suggests that when face mites get out of balance, they cause skin inflammation and rosacea, okay, a common condition that manifests as bumpy redness on the skin. Now, I do believe personally that rosacea is a parasite. I do believe that. LumiSpa, you want to do that. You want to get your face clean. Your face wants to regenerate. Your face wants the new cells want to come to the surface. If the old cells are in there, I wear a lot of makeup, y'all. I just do. I have since I was in my 20s, and I credit the fact that I protected my skin with the sunblock and all that kind of stuff. So I protected my skin. At the same time, you don't want those pores clogged, and you certainly don't want to give these mites a whole lot of things to feast on. So that's something that's really, really important. Yes, Bridget, I prefer Lumi cleansing as well as to the mites. I mean, I just do not, I'm not a fan of critters on my skin for sure. And so I'm going to, I'm so glad that I have the LumiSpa and I take care of my skin that way, because I feel like, oh, well, if I have them every day I get rid of them, right? I don't want, and especially at night, if you do it at night and you clean your face, then you're not going to have mites popping out of your pores to mate with other mites on your face in your sleep. I mean, that's just nasty. Okay. So the other parasites that we have, and we talked about that a few minutes ago, is the mold and the fungus that we have in our guts. All right. Anyone that has had thrush, which is an overgrowth of candida, or has been plagued with athlete's foot, already knows about fungus. There is a whole world of microscopic mushrooms inside humans. All right. Many of these species are believed to be harmful. All right. It can trigger infection in patients that receive organ transplants. It's likely that the different fungal strains that we harbor and that live in balance with the bacteria and other microbiota also offer us health benefits. One example might be the gut fungus in particular. I'm going to say this, but I'm probably going to say it wrong. S. cerevisiae has been found to help the body fight E. coli infections. And we know that when we get E. coli, we have real bad diarrhea, vomiting, and that kind of thing. And so this particular fungus protects against E. coli. If you don't have this, you can have irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, and that kind of thing. So long story short, you want to do this, all right? Feed your microbiome with the good bacteria. Miracle Grow for the gut to make sure that you've got the good microbiome in your gut. This to make sure that you don't have face mites and you're not having a sex party every night, okay? I mean, I'm just saying. That's just a gross thing for me to think about. And I feel very confident that because I do that every night, we're not doing that, okay? So it is the weekend. Take care of yourself. I know this has been kind of a gross topic, but it also has been eye-opening, to say the least. And I've given you some tools. If you need to have some links to get these tools delivered straight to you, then we'll pop that in the box. And you can help yourself to flourish your good bacteria and eradicate the mites. So I love you. It's the weekend. Take good care of yourself. Lot of self-care, and I will see you next week.